So I had a scammer the other day contact me and pose as a client. So I thought it might be a good idea to make a video about that, to maybe teach some of you all to maybe recognize some signs so that you don't get taken advantage from. Now I know this is a mainly photography channel, but this can apply to anybody, a photographer, anybody that has a small business or a side hustle that's wanting to make a little money on the side. So what we're going to do is we're going to get into the emails and we're going to go over them, and I'm going to show you some signs of what to look for, when someone's posing as a potential client, something to look for so that you don't get taken advantage of. A couple Mondays ago, I got a text message on my phone, and it said, "Hi, my name's Bruce." Didn't give a last name, and that's what he wrote, and I'm going to say that because we all know it's not his real last name. So anyway, it says something along the lines of, "My name is Bruce. I'm looking for an experienced photographer to cover a party I'm having, a dinner party I'm having on Wednesday the 29th of June, which was like, I don't know, 20 days out from the time I got the message. And he said, if you're interested and have availability, you can email me at, and he gave an email address. It was a Gmail address that he gave. You can respond by this. So right away, some flags were popping up. But I gave him the benefit of the doubt. Now I should start this with a disclaimer of nothing is ever 100%. Nothing is ever 100% certain. By the time this was all said and done, I was probably about 99.5% sure he was a scammer. But I'll show you the emails. I'll show you how my final email to him to kind of call him out and to kind of put the ball back in their court. But I deleted the text message because I did respond to his email, because I'm thinking, hey, it's a client, and who's not going to want clients? I'm not an overbooked photographer by any means, but even though some of the red flags started popping up from the get-go, I wanted to give him the benefit of the doubt, because each individual thing by themselves can have a perfectly legitimate excuse, but it's the combination of everything together is what leads you to think that something's up and something's wrong. So you say, what qualifies me to teach people about how to recognize a scammer or something? Well, first of all, it's once you get down and you look at it, it's pretty obvious. Most of my adult life prior to me being a photographer, I had a background in law enforcement. A couple years ago, or several years ago now, we decided I would leave law enforcement and I would become a stay-at-home dad, and my wife has the big fancy corporate job or whatever, so thus the roles flipped moniker. See, that's where that comes from. Clever? No? So anyway, I thought I'd make this video because anybody that's trying to make some extra money on the side, especially in these times, can easily fall victim to these scammers. Because even me seeing all these red flags, I was still almost like, yes, let's book this. And so it almost caught me, and I've dealt with scammers and criminals and all that stuff almost on a daily basis back in my law enforcement career. So what we're going to do is we're going to dive into the emails. I'm going to show you, and I'm going to kind of comment on what stands out and what you should look for as things to recognize, so you don't get scammed. Alright, going back to the text message, I of course deleted the text message because after I got it, I immediately replied by email which is what the person said. And 3 days went by and I didn't hear nothing. So I thought, well, it's common for, especially in the photography industry, people to reach out and say, hey, can I book a session, or what's your prices, or that, and then you respond and then you never hear from them again. That's a common thing. So I thought at first, okay, that's what it is. So I deleted the text message. But some things that stood out about the text message. First of all, when he said, my name is Bruce, and I saw your number on the Google page, which is a weird way of writing it. Okay, my business is on Google, so you can search, photographers in my area, and I pop up. Now I'm like 8 down because there's a million photographers, but I'm there and my number is listed because I want people to have multiple ways to get a hold of me for, to book me. It's just some people would rather call. So anyway, so that wording right there was kind of weird and stood out. Secondly, the phone number was not a local phone number that the text came from. It was is out of Texas, Houston to be exact, the Houston area, which is weird but not uncommon, especially in this area, because several years back when oil and gas was big, a lot of people from Texas came up to this area and stayed. And you don't change your phone number, so that was easily explained as, okay, maybe there's someone that's new that came up. And then it was just weird. He said, like, I'm looking for an experienced photographer to shoot this party. So he's wanting me to cover an event. Okay, nowhere on any of my social medias or my website or anywhere says I do event photography. It says, I like to do portraits and fashion and model portfolios and food and products. That it clearly says who my target audience is on my webpage, who I want to shoot for. Don't really care about events, but Shawnee wants to pay for dance classes, so I say, I can shoot an event. So I responded back, knowing all these things. That's still kind of in the back of my head, like, this may or may not be legit, but I figured, what's the harm in emailing him back, because he had no information so far that you couldn't get already from my webpage or my social medias and stuff. But I started to think, maybe he didn't look at my webpage or my socials because he would have known this guy doesn't normally do event photographers. And or I thought maybe he did look at my stuff and said, oh, he can make a decent picture, so I'll book him. So I responded. Now we're going to get into the computer and I'm going to see how my editing skills are to be able to talk while I'm showing you what the letter is. Alright, so we'll pull up, it should be on your screen. So, okay, so here was my response email to him. I said, hello Bruce, because again, that's what he said his name. That was another thing that was off about the text message, was he said, my name is Bruce. Didn't give me a last name, didn't tell me anything like that. So that's was another red flag that showed up, because I know when I'm messaging someone, hey, my name is Sean Fleming, this is what I do. That was weird. So I wrote back, hello Bruce, I received your text message this morning. I thank you for the inquiry. I do have availability on June 29th and am interested in hearing more about your event. I will need to know the location and times of the dinner party. I will also need to know who the party is for, as they will be the primary focus of the event. Additional helpful information would be how many guests are attending, how long the event is, and how long you would like coverage, how many final photographs you would like, and any specific shots you would like to have. My portfolio on my webpage does not have event photographs. However, if you wish, I can provide you with a few sample images of a recent birthday dinner party I shot to give you an idea of how the pictures would look. Thank you, Sean Fleming. Wrote it there. So that was my response back. And again, days went by, so I thought nothing of it. Thought, okay, it's just someone ghosting me. So we'll get into his response, which came like 3 days later. All right, so his response 3 days later, which I'll read it to you and I'll point out stuff that you need to look for. So it should be up on your screen, and you can read along, and I'll point out things to look for. So it says, good. Here's the first thing. Good morning, comma. It's not any kind of proper framing of a letter. Just good morning. Capital thank you for the swift response. So we're already getting into punctuation issues. So these scammers, they're clever, but they're lazy. Okay, so they know how to scam people. They know how to, catch people. But everything's probably, that text message probably went out, that I got probably went out to like 1,000 different people. And unfortunately, they probably got, 10, 20 bites on that. So this is why we're doing this, so you can beware. So look for stuff like off punctuation, stuff that spelling errors, capitalization errors, something that the basic person should know how to write. So we have good morning, no enter, no like that. No, it's just there it is. Thank you for the swift response. I have seen your works, and I, not capitalized, must confess that it's going to be a great honor to have you as the photographer for my wife's surprise dinner, 2 spaces here, on the 29th of June. Okay, so let's break this down. What's he doing? He's kissing my ass, stroking me off, or what? It's going to be a great honor to have you. I'm a local photographer who's 2 years into it, and I, struggle to get bookings. So I'm not this famous, event photographer or famous fashion photographer that people go, I have to have Sean Fleming shoot my project. I want to be that way, get to that point, but I'm not there. So this is just, he's playing to your ego right there. So you're thinking, oh, this guy really likes me. And as artists, we like people to stroke our ego. So that's what they're playing for there. So it's a little too, for me, it's a little too much kiss your ass for, to be that, because I'm not famous. Now, if you're famous, then, that's fine, but you won't, if you're famous, you also won't have bookings 3 weeks out. So anyway, it says, here are more info about the event. So it's bad grammar there. He puts a colon there, or semicolon, whatever those 2 dots are. And he says, okay, here's where it gets weird. I am currently in Australia and would like to throw a surprise dinner for my wife. I have not told anyone about this, but I'm sure her friends and family will be around. But I'm sure it's not going to be more than 20 guests, and I want you there before 4 p.m. Alright, so why is he in Australia? Okay, so, okay, he's in Australia. Why is he planning a surprise party for his wife? Okay, get that. But he hadn't invited anybody guests. It's 3 weeks away, and he hasn't invited anybody to this party. So that's red flag right there, because that doesn't make sense. It's not normal. If you were to plan a party, you would want to have your guest list to go forward. Okay, location. I'm working on booking a restaurant nearby, so I will keep you informed as soon as I hear from them. Where? Okay. Where are you booking a restaurant? Okay, that's very vague. And again, why are you booking a restaurant if you can't tell the restaurant how many people are coming? So here's where it gets funny. I will be responsible for your cost of transportation if necessary. I'd like to know how much you charge hourly so as to make arrangements with my account officer to have a payment check mailed out to you to cover for deposit as soon as we agree on your hourly rate. I hope to hear back from you in no time. Thank you. Does not give a name. It says thank you. So what stands out about this is, why is he in Australia? Why does he not have a guest list or invitation sent out? Why is he vague about this restaurant nearby? I still don't even know where he's talking about, because I am in Bridgeport, West Virginia. Okay, it says that everywhere. It says that on my webpage. It says that on my social medias. That's not information that's not readily available. So, this is all, here he's volunteering to pay for, transportation and blah, blah. So I still don't know where I'm going. So that was 3 days later. So I respond back to him, and we'll get into that now. I write back. I see this in the morning. I'm out running errands. So I reply back to him, and I'm already kind of relieved because I'm like, I didn't like the vibe of this guy. So I said, good morning. I said, I'm sorry to say that there must be some confusion about my location. I am located out of West Virginia in the United States. You stated that you were in Australia in your email response. For obvious reasons, it would not be feasible for me to photograph your wife's birthday party. I apologize for any confusion that may have occurred, and I do thank you for your inquiry and appreciate you liking my work. If you are ever near West Virginia and want some pictures, please reach out. Thank you, Sean Fleming. I wrote my name again in full. So at this point, I'm thinking maybe he's just a bad communicator, and maybe he's just not paying attention, because sometimes people, don't pay attention to where someone's from and say, hey, I want to book you. Oh, I'm in Bridgeport, Connecticut, not Bridgeport, West Virginia. Sorry. That happens. How the Australia, I don't get. So I respond by that. Hey, there might be a snafu. Sorry about your luck. So this, I get a response back in like 5 minutes, 10 minutes from this. So stand by. All right, so here's the response I get. Same day. Okay, so there's that first one. Okay, same day. Now, big notice here, different font. He just emailed me 20 minutes ago. Okay, now he's got another email in a different font. Huge red flag. Okay, so he says, I appreciate the gesture you took in replying my email. Again, we're looking at grammar mistakes, simple grammar mistakes. You don't have to travel down here. The party is taking place in your locality, West Virginia. Not capitalized West, capitalized Virginia. So, which, a lot of people don't know about West Virginia, but whatever. Takes place in your locality, West Virginia. Where in West Virginia? Okay. It's not a huge state, but it's a big state. There's a lot of places that are a 2 or 3 hour drive from where I'm at. Okay, I'm not driving 3 hours to take a picture of your party for 2 hours and then drive 3 hours back home. I'm just not going to do it. So again, he does not say where. Okay, but now he added West Virginia because I told him in the last email I'm from West Virginia. So I'm feeding him a little bit of information that he's obviously not seen my website or my social medias, because he knows very little at this point, or he's playing off like he does. So, party's taking place in your locality, West Virginia. No space between sentences. I understand you will need some funds for materials and transportation to get yourself ready for the event. I will pay half of the total charges and balance up after the job is completely done. I will need the following details below for your upfront payment. Alright, so here we go. It's full name, full address, city. Okay, see that little A with the sign thing over it? Okay, that's a red flag too. This was copied and pasted off something, some kind of short code or somewhere where that was not, they didn't delete it. Like I said before, they're lazy. Okay, so they didn't clear their whole fields first. State, which they don't even give a spot to answer it, and then telephone and cell phone. Okay, so he didn't ask for a bank account because they're wising up and they know that most people don't give out bank account information. So he wants this to supposedly send me a check. He says, I need this information to issue out a check for your deposit. I will forward the courier's tracking number to you and it will be delivered to your provided address within 2 business days. That's odd. Why are you going to overnight a deposit check to me? He's very eager to pay me money, and I've never had anybody be that eager to pay you money. So here's another thing that was odd. I regret not being able to call you and also responded to this email very late. I am very busy person. Not I am a very busy person, but I am a very busy person. But I will find time to respond to yours emails, again, bad grammar, on time because the birthday is just a couple days away. No, the birthday's not. The birthday at this point is about 2.5 weeks out. So it's not a couple days. So what he's doing, he said, I will be able to keep in touch via emails and text messages from time to time. I will be patiently waiting to read from you soon. Thank you, which is read from you soon, which is weird, but he knows I'm emailing. So here are the issues about this. Okay, one, we're overnighting a check, which doesn't make sense. Very eager to give me my money. And then he says, I regret not being able to call you and also responded to this email very late. I am a very busy person. So he's playing it off like he's, below. And earlier he said my account officer, and now I'm very busy. He's trying to play it off like he's some important businessman, okay? But then again, he's stroking the ego because even though I'm a very busy person, and I can't call you because I'm so busy, I will find the time to respond to your email because the birthday's a couple days away. So he's busy, but now I'm a priority to him. So again, stroking the ego. So that was that email. So those were the red flags in there. A lot of red flags. So by this time, I know this guy's pretty full of shit. And I'm telling my wife about this at this point. And she's like, oh, he's a scammer and stuff. Even though I was still, just a little bit in the back of my mind was like, oh, it's a client. I don't want to make the client mad. So this is where they get you. And this is why I'm, again, making this video so that you don't get caught up in this thinking, oh, yeah, I'm going to get, I'm going to be able to pay for dance classes or I'm going to be able to pay for gas. You're going to be so focused on getting money that they're going to scam you on the back end. So I responded in the following manner to this. Okay, so right now I'm pretty sure he's full of shit, but I'm just going to play it off, see what he gives me back. So this time I just write, okay, that makes a lot more sense, being as, okay, maybe you're planning maybe you are a big businessman and maybe you're planning, for your wife this party that you're very poorly planning. So I wrote, before I can give you a definite yes, I need to know the city that this event is taking place in. Because again, after, let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4, this is the 4th email communication, he's still not giving me an exact location. Okay, huge red flag. So here's where I feed him a little bit of info. So I said, if it is local to Bridgeport, West Virginia, I said, there will be no issue. I said, if it's somewhere farther like Charleston or Wheeling, it will make a difference logistically. Thank you. Okay, so I fed him a little information. I wanted to see what he was going to come back with. He came back with what I thought he was going to come back with. So this time he tries to be a little bit more personal. He says, hi Shawn, S-H-A-W-N. He spells my name wrong, okay? Earlier in the emails you saw where I wrote back, I spelled my full name out for him, S-H-A-U-N. So again, lazy, okay? They don't pay a lot of attention to stuff. So he says, yes, the event would be in Bridgeport, West Virginia. Again, West is not capitalized. I am not Western Virginia. I live in my own state. So yes, the event would be in Bridgeport, West Virginia, because I set him up for that in the previous email. Kindly provide the total cost with logistics. Okay, he didn't mention logistics until I said in the past email, this matters logistically, being as, I'm going to have to charge you for gas, and do I need a hotel, blah, 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 if I had to drive, more than an hour away. So he put that in there, which is funny because he's just kind of playing off my last email. Kind Kindly provide the total cost with logistics and the information required for the upfront payment so my account officer, there it is again, would mail the check to you as soon as possible. You know the selected date is near. I hope to hear back from you as soon as possible. So now he's kind of putting the pressure on about, I need your information so I can pay you because I'm a good customer, And he's playing off. He's too eager to pay me. Ain't nobody that eager to pay anybody for anything. It's like, what do you cost? All right, fine. And again, as account officer, that sounds like a made up position. Is it your accountant? Is it your finance department? Who's sending me the check? What's their name? Again, with the bad grammar and punctuation, with no capitalized this, the selected date is near. Again, he's trying to pressure me of, hey, it's coming up, it's quick. He's trying to play a sense of urgency. Thanks with no name getting. So about this time I've had it, and I am 99.9% sure this guy's a scammer and whatnot. So this is a good way to respond back to him because, like I said earlier, it's not nothing's ever 100%. Some people are really, really bad communicators. So this is how I wrote the response, and pretty much puts the ball in his court, and I call him out. Alright, so this letter, I call him out and I put the ball back in his court, but I also give him a chance to rebut and explain or maybe prove that he is a legitimate client. So I don't even start with a greeting. I said, forgive me if this comes across as offensive or crass, but there are some issues regarding our correspondence that concern me. There's a lot of vagueness in your response to my questions, and frankly, I'm questioning if you are a legitimate client. So I'm just straight up calling him out right there. The answers to the questions I pose are necessary to provide you with exceptional service. I also have additional questions that concern me to the legitimacy of the event. I do not mean to waste your time, but my time is valuable as well. I'm playing back on his I'm a very busy person. So here's my list of questions that I need answers to. I say first, I need the exact name and address of the location. I give him a reason why. This is necessary for me to do adequate scouting, speak with staff, confirm reservation, obtain permissions, etc. I will also need your full name, address, and contact phone number. This is for the photography service contract I require all clients to sign. Okay, that's a big thing. Number one, have a contract. If you're any kind of service-based, have a contract. Okay. What is your wife's name? I will need to know who the main focus of the party is. So those are the important things that I need, that I want to know that he needs to give me to make me think, okay, he may be a legitimate inquiry. So then I go on and I say, the following concerns I am bringing up, while they may be totally legitimate, they are odd and very uncommon for me to deal with in non-commercial photography. So here's where I go kind of cop mode on him. I say, what are your ties to Bridgeport? You initially contacted me via text from a Texas phone number. So I'm calling him out. Why? How are you in Bridgeport? What business do you have here? Did you move here? Are you going to tell me, you and your wife moved here? I'm an oil and gas guy, and I'm out of the country now working, and I'm coming back. So I follow up with that and I say, why are you in Australia, and what city in Australia are you in? Because at the time we were corresponding, depending on what coast he was on in Australia, it would be between like 2 and 5 in the morning where he's, emailing, because all these emails here are coming within 15 minutes of each other. So it would be unlikely if some guy is a super businessman or whatever that he's up at 4 o'clock in the morning answering emails from a photographer. So furthermore, why are you in Australia planning an event that you have not contacted guests about attending? You are the first inquiry to have originated for me in a foreign country. And then I go on, I say, you mentioned an account officer. This leads me to believe that you are an executive or owner of a company. What is the company name that you work for, and what do they do? in parentheses, this does not affect my rate. I will quote you. That's what I quoted him because, like I said, I'm mid-level. I think I'm good enough to charge for my services, but I don't charge $1,000 an hour. Maybe people will say I don't charge enough. Maybe people will say I charge too much. Anyway, that's business and that's nothing, whatever. So I quoted him, just to kind of say, if you are legitimate and you say, oh, I'm super rich, I'm not going to jack up my prices just for you. So I said, while these concerns are not a matter of the job, it does provide me with additional information to vet that this is a legitimate business inquiry for my services. And then I go on, I said, in addition, while I appreciate your willingness to pay a deposit, I currently do not require deposits for small private events such as a birthday party. People thus far have been good to their word about dates and details. I said, I do require payment in full at the commencement of the event. This is payable by cash or credit card. I don't accept checks from anything other than a business for commercial. I'll accept commercial photography job checks, but if it's person, I don't use cash or credit card. And I said, I do not accept checks for non-commercial photography. I have quoted you an hourly rate above, which will start at the time of my arrival at the location and end when I feel I've captured enough images of the event to have properly documented it. If you happen to book me for 3 hours and the party stops for after 2.5, I will then still work for additional time. For example, it could be doing portraits for you and your wife. I'm just saying, you book me for 3 hours and the party tanks at 2, you paid for 3 hours. If you want me to take pictures of you guys for another hour, I will do that. And they said, here's where a good thing that you can, if you're always skeptic of somebody, you can put this in here. You say, I will also require a face-to-face meeting with you prior to the event on June 29th. I always meet with clients that I do not know personally to get familiar with them and to plan the shoot and what exactly you want from the shoot. Here's where I throw it back in his court. I am assuming you will be in town in plenty of time before the party, because what kind of husband throws a surprise party for his wife and doesn't show up? I said, there's a nice little coffee shop downtown we could meet at. The meeting should take no more than 30 minutes out of your day. Because again, he's a busy man, so I just want to say this quick meeting. And so I wrote, again, forgive me if you take offense to my questions, but these are answers and conditions I require to move forward. If you have any issue with answering them, I respect that and there will be no hard feelings. However, I cannot commit to your event without the above information. So, there you have it. So that's what I wrote back to him. That was a week ago. I haven't heard peep since. So pretty sure he's a scammer. But that is a good response letter to give them a chance to explain themselves if they want to. And then also, make them meet you face to face. Say, I cannot give you a yes. I cannot confirm me working for you or this booking till I get what I want. Okay, so we as photographers or business people, we have to make sure that our interests are being looked after, I guess, for no better way to put it. If we're going to take the time to plan a shoot, we need to make sure that it's a legitimate shoot. So I've been seeing that, scammers are, actually, like 2 days after this, I got an email from my bank that said, hey, scammers have been targeting online sellers like Etsy's and eBay's and stuff like that. And I'm like, well, yeah, I got scammers too. So it's just something to look out for. So look out for things like this that we read here together, the punctuation errors, the grammar errors, the vagueness, and I'm not sure of the guy's angle, how they were going to work this, but I think, number one, the check, if they would have sent it, probably wouldn't have been any good. But two, I'm pretty sure when you cash a check and deposit it into your bank account, I'm pretty sure the bank prints your account numbers on the back of that check to cancel it. So I think to me, that's the simplest explanation of how their angle was, is they get that canceled check back or a copy of it, and there's your account numbers on the back. They get your bank account numbers. They have, what they need to start doing their hacking or whatever. So don't give anybody any information that they don't already know or can't find from your website, because as businesses, we do have to put out some information. We have to put out our names, we have to put out contact information, because we have to be able to be reached, and we have to have people find out who we are so that we can provide that service. So you can't, it's not like if you just work in, if you have a business or a side hustle or something, you need people to know who you are. You need people to see you so that they can employ you for your services. So there's a little bit of a balancing act, but don't ever give out banking account information, and just always be vigilant. And like I said, this guy was, very vague in providing me details that I needed to be able to provide my service. I can't say, yeah, I'll shoot your party and it be 3 hours away and not know till the last day. So that's stuff you have to find out beforehand, and if they're vague about it, that's a red flag. The eagerness to send me a check was also another red flag to me, because I've worked with commercial clients and all that, and for the private clients, I state you have to pay me in full, so I get paid in full before we even shoot. But commercial clients, it's like 30 days. You send an invoice, and like 30 days later, you get a check, or if that. So that was a red flag, and then all the little, punctuation errors and grammar errors. So that's pretty much it. I hope you guys learned something from it. Like I said, this is a good lesson for anybody that's has a small business or a side hustle, not just photography related. So if you have any other questions about what to look for or whatever, or if you noticed something that you have a question in the emails, drop it in the comments, and I'll reply to it as soon as I can. Other than that, take all this in the totality of it. Don't always assume everybody's a scam, but take steps to protect yourself, and take steps to make sure that it is someone legitimate contacting you. With that being said, we're going to wrap this up, and if you went this far, thanks for watching.